Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Coaches and Content Podcast. You want to learn how to save money on your business, keep a little more money in your pocket, maybe not give as much to the government because they don't need it anyway. So that's what we're going to talk about today with my special guest, Big Tone, the CPA, a.k.a. Anthony Price. Let's make some noise for Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Anthony, how are you doing today?
Doing great. That's a hell of an intro. I appreciate it. Let's have some fun.
Well, that's what you do, and that's all entrepreneurs. That's what we all need is we need to know how to keep more money in our pocket because we have Big Brother with their hand in our pocket, and we could be spending that money in better ways, reinvested in our business. So I'm super excited to get into that today. But before we start, I just have to remind people, if you want to start your own podcast, you could download my free guide. Just go to coachesandcontent.com. It'll teach you how to do it, the free PDF. With that being said, Anthony, before we even start, I need to give people a background of who you are, type of guy you are, because you had to reschedule when we initially were going to do an interview, and you actually called me to tell me you need to reschedule. That's right, folks. He called me on the phone to tell me he needed to reschedule, and that just shows you the type of guy you are. So I just wanted to start the interview out with that, show people, the type of man that you are.
Of course, absolutely. It's all about communication, all about the relationship. And despite the fact I'm sure you've been getting thousands of robocalls just like everybody else, you still took the call. We had a good conversation, hit it off. I've been looking forward to the podcast for a couple weeks now.
Yeah, so let's give it up again for Anthony being such a professional, because you could tell I'm a big believer in how you do anything is how you do everything. So I'm not surprised why you're killing it on social media, killing it on your business. So why don't we get into things? So you are a CPA, a certified public accountant, right?
Yep, certified public accountant, focus on tax planning and tax strategy.
And I like your so first of all, folks, you should check out all the episodes I've been preaching how to get clients through creating content. Anthony's the prime example of that. So before you even listen or watch any of this, go to his Twitter, Anthony Price CPA. Go to his Instagram, same thing, Anthony Price PA or Anthony Price CPA.
CPA. That's my that's my spam profile. Do not follow Anthony Price PA, or they're gonna try and sell you on a crypto course. That is not me.
So you have imposters already?
Oh, I've had at least 20 imposters, and I asked my team, "Hey, what can I do about this? Like, is there anything we can do, to get rid of these scam accounts?" And they go, just keep growing, keep warning people about it, and try and get verified. So we're on the road to that blue check.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you made it, when there's people impersonating you and trying to sell people Bitcoin as you.
Yeah, I guess so. Fortunately, they haven't been successful, but they've had a lot of conversations with old friends that I haven't spoken with in, 5-10 years. And then they send me a message like, "Hey, is this you?" I'm like, "No, it's not me, but it's good to hear from you."
It's good to hear from you. You need help on your taxes, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's still starting some conversations. So I'm maybe getting a little bit out of it. But if anyone that's posing as me ever tries to sell you in a crypto group, I just want to say it here. I'll probably clip this up and put it on my own Instagram. It is not me. I don't sell a crypto group. I might DM you about taxes. I might DM you if you're a beautiful Latina woman. But I probably won't DM you trying to get you into any crypto group of mine.
So if there's any beautiful Latino women out there, reach out to Anthony before he reaches out to you.
Thank you. Exactly. I prefer the inbound leads. I'm less of a cold DM. I'm more of an inbound sales guy.
So yeah, guys, check out his Twitter and his Instagram, because he's doing exactly what I talk about all the time. And I'm sure he's getting tons of clients. He has about 10,000 followers on Twitter. I'm sure he got a ton of business on Twitter. But so before we get into all your content creation and your strategy, let's talk about like what you do and how you help people. I really liked your quote. It's on your website. You help investors and entrepreneurs reduce their taxes by 5 figures every year. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so my background, I'm a CPA. I focus on tax planning, tax preparation, and there's just such a big market for that right now, because if you look at the industry of CPAs, of tax professionals, and you look at how the public accounting business model runs, so much of it right now is purely compliance and purely, all right, we're going to get your tax return done. We're going to charge you a couple $100, $1,000, and we're going to get your tax return done. And then we'll see you next year. Where people don't know these days how many strategies and opportunities there are for tax savings, for saving thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on taxes. And when you can provide that much more value, you can charge a little bit more justifiably because you're bringing in 5x the value. So you can charge double, triple the price. So the whole business model for me is, inspired by the, $100 million offers where I'm not out here competing over price. I'm competing over service. I'm competing over value in the offer that I can bring. And so if I focus on how much money I can save you through education, if I focus on how great of service you get through communication with me and the relationship that we have, then I can justifiably charge a little bit more while bringing more value, and everybody has a better life. Everybody gets more out of the service that we provide, that they receive. So that's really my business model, and it works a lot better than the stress of churning and burning 1,000 tax returns throughout a tax season.
Yeah, I'm big on all that too. Quality over quantity, and I'd rather spend a little more to get a little more. And it's funny, there's that running joke on Twitter. Everybody always tweets it. A $500 client asks a million questions. A $5,000 client is just like, just get it done. Let me know when it's done, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oftentimes they have other big priorities and they just want to know it gets done. And as long as you get the work done and as long as you bring the value, they're not going to have any issue with it. I've certainly experienced that myself.
So what are some of, I haven't really talked to anyone about Twitter yet, so this would be interesting. You see a lot of people with e-commerce stores or whatever they're doing. You see young kids making $10,000-$20,000 a month. But I'm curious, who is your clientele? Is it, business professionals, people with online businesses? Like, who do you work with?
So I practice broadly, but I market pretty narrowly. So on Twitter, I really am a young internet entrepreneur. And so the people I connect with most on Twitter is other young internet entrepreneurs. So I work with guys that are doing online fitness businesses. I work with guys that are doing Amazon FBA. I work with other e-commerce experts. I work with content creators and coaches. I work with all kinds of people that I've met through Twitter. Before that, I was doing a ton of in-person networking. I really started the business and built my initial client base through in-person networking. And when I go to in-person networking, I'm meeting people that are real estate agents. I'm meeting service-based businesses, so HVAC guys, plumbers, car washes, just any kind of service-based business located in my local community in the town I was living in Reno, Nevada. So I started working with a lot of people that were just service-based because we created the face-to-face relationship initially. And then as I started to grow on Twitter, I started working a lot more in that, Web3 crypto investor, digital coach, e-commerce space. So I've been growing there. Instagram, I'm bringing in clients from all over the place. So that one certainly varies from crypto investors to entrepreneurs that are buying businesses to, just basic, any kind of business, basic, sales guys that are out there selling solar as well. So I practice rather broadly, focused primarily on entrepreneurs and crypto investors. So clearly that's pretty broad.
Man, that's awesome. This is like a prime example of what I'm trying to drill in people's heads is it's just all about creating content, especially video, but on Twitter it's a little different. So you started in person. Well, first of all, how long ago did you start your business?
About 13, 14 months ago. I've known that I've been ready to move on for a good 15, 16 months. I was working in public accounting and just could not see my career growing at the pace that my, network, that my skills, that my abilities were growing at. And so, really in the middle of that tax season of 2021, I realized, all right, I'm really starting to perform. I'm really starting to grow. I can bring a lot of value, a lot of growth, new clients, and positive relationships to the firm that I'm working for, and I don't see them rewarding me proportionately. So it would be quick. It would be very fast for me to leave and do my own thing. But if anybody can do it, it's me. I'm capable of bringing on new clients. I'm capable of fulfilling that work, and I'll do well if I leave on my own, even if it's a little bit early. So I quit public accounting in July of 2021 and started my business really in August of 2021. And so we're coming up on 13 months now.
I mean, you call yourself Big Tone. You're Big Tone. Obviously, you know that you're the man and you could do it. So that just happened one day. You're just like, I'm Big Tone. Like, I know I can step out and do it on my own.
Well, here's the story. Actually, is I had one of my best friends. He is a commercial real estate agent, and he'd been doing it for a couple years, and he helped me, back before I was even an accountant. I was, taking a look at commercial real estate. I was, trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do, and then eventually got into accounting. And my friend, he really started to grow his client base through in-person networking and through BNI. I'm not sure if you guys are
Yeah,
familiar
yeah,
with
yeah.
BNI.
I'm in Philly. We have BNI out here. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so I'd heard of it back from, years ago when I was actually doing insurance when I was still in college, trying to figure out what I was going to do once I graduated with my accounting degree. And so I went to a couple meetings, and I thought it was interesting. It was cool. Got to meet with other professionals, and, but I didn't really stick with that group. I didn't really vibe that well with that group. And so when my friend invited me again, I'm like, whatever, like, all right, I guess I'm like open to it just for the, practice in public speaking and to meet a couple more people. February of 2021, I joined a BNI group, and I was like, whatever, I'm just getting some clients for the firm that I work at. I can just kind of be myself. One of my best friends is in the group. I can goof around a little bit. And so I just really, really was myself. And I'm a pretty silly guy, and like to have fun. So I would, have my 1 minute pitch. And I'm like, what's up, guys? I'm Anthony Price. I'm a part-time boat captain. And I'm a wedding singer, and I also do your taxes on the back end. And it just was received so well. I was just having so much fun. And I realized that, I can just kind of be myself, and people are going to want to work with me. And so really just that experience of going out and saying who I am and what I do, and having so much interest in so many people saying, I actually need that. Like, let's work together. I need my taxes done. I need this service. I need some bookkeeping done. I go, like, I don't have to rely on anyone else to bring in new business. And I started signing on clients to the firm that I was working at. And I go, all right, so I know how to do the work. All right, so now I know that I can get new clients. And I can also get paid 4 times as much by being the person that brings in the client, does the work and delivers it, and has that relationship. So why am I doing it and getting this company rich when they're not giving me an extra, $5,000 raise? They're barely giving me a, 5% raise every single year when I'm in a really fast track to professional growth. That doesn't seem really right, because I'm not content just sitting behind the computer and, doing taxes all day long. I want to be instrumental in many other areas of the business. And so once I realized my talent at, marketing and bringing in new clients, and, my technical skills were also, above par, I realized, all right, I can do this. I can do this on my own. So that's really the story. BNI really grew my confidence and grew my skills in talking to people and bringing in new clients. And it helped me, it really helped me have the confidence to go out on my own, start my own business.
Man, that's such a great story. That's really like prime example. Like I keep telling you, everything I'm practicing and preaching, you're a prime example of it. So I'm super glad that you agreed to come on here. Because I have a friend who just started doing mortgages, and he's going to these networking events, and I'm trying to teach him you need to start creating content. And you're a prime example. Why? Because like you can go to a BNI, a local networking group, you see the same people every week, you bring referrals, maybe you'll get some new referrals. But if you take the time, you took a year. So let's see, I'm on your Instagram. So you have 4,000 followers on Instagram. So let's just say maybe that took you a year to build it, but now you have it. So instead of going to BNI and talking to the same 10 people, let's just say even a quarter of the people on Instagram always see your stuff that follow you. You're still reaching thousands of people online around the world instead of just going to a local BNI and seeing the same people all the time. And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went to a ton of in-person networking events, and that was great. It was successful. I would get new clients and get new contacts, and keep myself very busy. But there is nothing that matches the leverage of being able to put your message out to the entire world in terms of content creation. And here's a fact: is I did not go from 0 to 4,000 in just a year. That was my personal page up until a couple months ago. I had 700 followers in April, 4 months ago. So I've gone from
Wow.
700 to 4,000 now. Really, just the last 3 months, 3 months is when I've been hitting it hard in terms of the content. So in terms of me putting out content and growing organically with my reels, that's really been all over the last couple months.
Man, that's incredible because it's so hard to grow. I've been trying to, I had my personal page and I just started, repurposing a lot of content from my interviews. So that's super hard to do. That's super impressive. But I'm curious. So I know you mentioned you had your team and stuff, and your content's great. That's what I like about it too. You kind of put your own personality, your own flair to it, and you're talking about relevant stuff like crypto and how to save and all that. But what was like when you decided you wanted to do this? Did you hire people? Did you start it yourself? Like, what was the process for you to actually start doing this?
Yeah. So me personally, I knew I wanted to hire somebody because I can't say that this is one of my main skill sets, one of my main strengths. And is that completely necessary? Absolutely not. Because what I've realized is that, just a candid thought comes to your head and you pull out your phone and you record it and then you put some captions on it, maybe a little bit of background music is all you need.
Yeah.
And that right there can get great engagement. That right there can be a viral video if you have a good message and you have good information. Um, you know, I have basically two jobs that I do. I work with trusts. I spend a lot of time talking to people about trusts. I do my CPA firm. I spend a lot of time doing taxes and talking to new people from both Twitter and from Instagram. So I don't really have time to sit down and spend 5-10 hours a week on content. And I'm sure people feel the same way. And so what kind of processes and procedures can you put in place to make your content creation process way more efficient? What equipment do you need
Mhm.
to buy? It's an investment, and it's one of the best investments I've ever made. You can do it for free if you wanted to with just a phone, and that's it. If you want a little bit more of a professional setup, you might have to spend a couple $100 just to get a ring light or a camera or a microphone, but it's so well worth it. You can basically find somebody on Fiverr. You can find somebody on Upwork that's willing to edit your videos, or you can find somebody to come up with topics and scripts for you so that you have something written for you to be inspired by when you go and go to record something. You can outsource everything really, really cheap if you wanted to. You could do it all yourself, whatever parts you like, then you do that. If you like to write all the topics out and all the scripts out with all the details, do that part. I really like that part. And as a CPA, I have to bring all of the knowledge. I have to bring all the technical information. So I have a team, but they're not CPAs, they're not accountants. So I have to send them ideas. I go, all right, hey, here's a really cool idea. Here's the Section 280A Augusta rule. I need to make a video about this. So help me come up with like a hook. Help
Mm.
me come up with something that's going to be an attractive way to frame the message. And then I'll bring in all the technical information and then we'll record something really quick. So my entire content creation process for short form only takes me like 1 to 2 hours a week because I work with a team who helps whittle down some of the information and helps me, craft that script. They'll write captions for me, they'll edit it for me, and it's, more expensive than, doing it all yourself, of course, but it saves me so much time and it's so effective. And it's amazing to have people in my corner that, to me, it's worth spending the money on having this content, because, you can track that stuff and you can determine, all right, so I spent this amount of money, but from my Instagram, I've now brought in 10 different leads. 3 of them converted into clients where I made all of that money back now. Right. And that's not only immediate ROI, but now that I have a couple thousand people and we're growing fast, then I'm going to get ROI for the rest of my life. And for someone in my industry, understand the lifetime value of a CPA client is like 15x annual revenue, right? Because the average length of a client, they're going to come back and do their return with me for the next 15 years on average. So I don't really mind if I have to spend a lot of money for some content creation, because it brings in so many people that are going to stay with me for so long that it's this crazy compound effect. As long as we can scale effectively, they're going to come back and do their taxes with me every year. Maybe we, horizontally grow to have some other financial services and products that we're going to be able to offer. I mean, the people that I find off of Instagram and Twitter, they like me for me, and they like the content that I put out, and we create a relationship where I can go and talk to them about basically anything. If I go from doing taxes just to financial products, a lot of people are still going to be totally interested in what I'm bringing to the table or the product that I'm talking about, as long as it's truly valuable, because they see me as a finance and accounting and money expert and strategist. So it's not just this direct sales pitch, social media. It's, hey, check out my content, check out me as a person. If you vibe with that, join my community.
Dude, that was like the epitome of what I was trying to teach and what this podcast is all about. That's why I had to make some noise, give you a hand for that, because there's so much to unpack there. I have so much to add to that, but you nailed it. I mean, this is pretty much the way to do business now, because I bet you're not running this is all you're spending money on for your business, right? You're probably not running ads. You're probably not really spending anything else except on content creation, right?
Exactly. And that's my entire marketing budget at the moment. And it is so much more effective than doing direct, sales and direct advertising, where I'm certainly not against that, especially if you have, maybe a product or a service that you can offer and put on a conveyor belt, and, you can fulfill it immediately, where you can determine, all right, here's my gross revenue, here's the cost of goods sold, here's the ad spend. Boom, we just made a direct, linear profit based off of a couple different levers. But for someone like myself in the professional services, where I'm really trying to nurture the leads, nurture the community, so whenever the need comes up, they know exactly who to go to. That's really what I'm looking for. And it's so much more effective, because if someone sees my content and they like it, they're going to follow me. Even if they're not ready to buy yet, now they're in my funnel. Now they're a prospect just from following me. So if now's not a good time, they're going to see an ad. They're going to skip right past it. But if now's not a good time and they like my content, they're going to follow me. And once the good time comes where they really need my service, they're going to come to me. They're going to shoot me a message. They're going to sign up for a call on my calendar, and they're going to be ready to buy. They're going to be ready to pay me, because they know they've been watching me share this information and this content for the last 6 months. So they have no questions about, I wonder if this guy is a real human being. I wonder if this guy's legit. I wonder if he actually knows his stuff. Well, you've been watching me actually share good information for 6 months. You basically know who I am. I'm very authentic. Like I'm aligned with who I am as a person on social media. So the person you see and the person you think you're going to meet is who you meet. And when you have those preconceptions and they actually match up, you go, all right, yeah, I know who this guy is. I know who this guy's going to be. I need his service. Let's go. I'm ready to go right on, right as soon as I get on the phone call. And I know this not just because it's happened to me, but because I've been that person where I've hopped on the sales call with a guy that I follow on social media for months, for years. I absolutely love this person. And when they ask me, to pay them money for their services, and I know what their service is, I know who the person is, and I know I want that service or product, I'm ready to go. I don't have any concerns or objections about, like, is this person real? Does this person actually know their stuff? I've been watching them, live and share their message for months. It's not a question.
Yeah, you're attracting them instead of chasing them, and you already sold them as a client before you even really meet them. Because I always talk about the three E's: educating them, entertaining them, keeping them engaged. And you do that, and like you said, maybe they're not ready right now, but they might be in 6 months. In marketing, we talk about, like, you have to touch people 10 or 12 times before they'll buy something or sell it. And that's the same with video. They could watch 10 to 12 videos or read 10 to 12 tweets, and then they're ready to do it. So that's why this stuff works. Like, Anthony is a prime example of everything I've been talking about, why this stuff works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been so much more successful than I ever expected. Really started about 6, 7 months ago for me, and just a snowball of a larger following and people I can interact with on a consistent basis. I mean, the leads just continue coming in to the point where it's become a problem, actually. I went from, not really doing much social media marketing and really looking, where can I find more clients? Where can I get more people on the books? I need more calls. To now, it's just been so successful that I'm more scrambling to find the people to help me fulfill and do all the work and create all my internal processes, because now all the marketing and sales that I have available to me, all the time I could be spending doing marketing and sales, like, that's a full-time job now. And I almost don't have the time for all the work that I have to do. So I'm like hiring like crazy. I've gone from just me 3 months ago to now a team of 5. That
Wow.
fast.
That's crazy, man. I mean, full disclosure, I have so I started my own. I used to produce podcasts for people, so I started my own company to produce them, and that's why I started my podcast. So that's what I'm going through right now, and I'm starting to crank out my reels and stuff. And this stuff works. It works for me as well. I've been getting clients, people I never even met. They watch your stuff and they like your stuff. So um, I'm so happy to hear, like, that it works for other people. And we don't know each other. I reached out to you because I love your stuff, and now I'm finding out everything that I'm telling people, you're showing proof that it works. And not only that, it's working so well that you're hiring and giving other people jobs, which is, like, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just a really good example of this. I was in Colorado Springs this last week, and I want to give a huge shout out to my man Zach Hommel. So I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah, I
follow
follow him
him, or a
too.
lot of
Yeah,
people
yeah,
on Twitter follow him.
yeah.
I was at his event this last weekend. He put on the first annual Do Hard Things conference, and man, it's the best example of exactly what we've been talking about, because 5, 6, however many years ago, Zach opened up a gym, and he started putting out a ton of content to grow his online fitness business, and he was wildly successful in the content he put out, in the business growth from social media development. It's been so successful that he's now essentially a coach for all these other guys in his area and around the country, helping them grow their fitness businesses and them make communities on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and help them make a ton of money. So not only is it true for his case, but he's been so successful, he's been able to help 15 other guys grow their businesses and become extremely successful as well. And so going to that event and just seeing the community of people that he's been able to impact, seeing the amount of people that were willing to pay money and fly all the way into Colorado because they like his message so much, was amazing. And then when you meet people from social media, from that corner of the internet, from Twitter, there's a higher chance that you're going to like these people than meeting a random person on the street. I have gone to a lot of events over the last year, 2 years, but I've never gone to an event where I just immediately became best friends with basically everybody, because we all resonate with Zach's content. We all know the kind of person he is. He's perfectly aligned with the content he puts out. We all resonate and like that. So when we meet each other, we're all way more similar than we are different. And we had such a good experience, and it was just such a amazing example of how positive and successful getting in the right social media communities can make you. Truly amazing, because he's helped multiple people build 6-figure businesses just based off of his, experiences, his following, and now his coaching to the other guys, teaching them how they can do the same thing.
Yeah, and you know why? It's the big thing I always preach too. Is coming from a place of value. So that's what all this is. Like we're all like-minded. We're trying to help other people. We're coming from a place of value because there's so many scammer gurus out there. Gurus who just sell products or whatever, and they're not. They buy followers, whatever. But when you come from a place of value and you put in the time and effort, it pays off. So Zach's another great example of that. I remember following him early on and him talking about how he was broke, and then he opened up his gym, and he just consistently was just being consistent on Twitter, and now he's just super huge. So that's another great example, another great story.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well-deserved success. Just a perfect example of, putting out content, being a coach, not being afraid to put out content that is so aligned with you that you might just like push away other people. Myself so much that either you resonate with it and you love me 5 times as much, or you don't resonate with it as much, and if you want to unfollow, that's fine. But the value I get from having a follower base, a community that truly likes me for me, is so much more valuable than trying to go broad and trying to avoid talking about the things that you really believe in, deep in your soul. I mean, really being yourself, really putting who you are out there, and the value of having a truly deep relationship with your followers and your community is well worth losing a couple when you post a controversial tweet, for sure.
Yeah, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just have like two more quick questions. And one of them, I haven't really talked to anyone about Twitter yet. And I'm on my Twitter journey trying to grow it, but I've seen how it's helped so many people just by them being consistent. So was Twitter did you start focusing on that first more than Instagram and any other medium?
Yeah, I started with Twitter because personally, I'm way better with writing. I like to write out my thoughts more than I'm used to like getting a video and starting to
Yeah.
record my thoughts. So I'm expanding and growing a lot more on Instagram, on TikTok, my Reels. I'm gonna get into YouTube because for what I do, YouTube is a great way to
Yeah.
connect with the audience. So it's gonna get way more into YouTube, but I really started with Twitter because writing out the information that I have, and it's just a much more natural medium to me that I really resonated with. And to me, it feels like Twitter's a little bit less of a time suck. I know all of it can be, dopamine inducing, just waste of time scrolling if you're not constantly like trying to learn and grow on it. But I felt like I was trying to learn and grow on Twitter a lot more than I was on Instagram, where I'm watching a lot more, memes and sports and silly things my friends
And
and I
women,
send each other.
women,
Yeah,
Latino
exactly.
women.
I unfollowed I had to. I had to unfollow all the girls that you're following for thirst traps. It was just too big of a distraction, and
Yeah.
that's another huge piece of game right there. Where if you curate your social media feed to only be positive, to only be information, to only be beneficial content, it changes your life significantly. And now it can still be a dopamine manipulating time suck if you're going to sit there and scroll for 3 hours and never act on any of the information that you consume. But hopping on Twitter for 15 minutes and getting inspired by somebody that drops a thread on how to cold email in 15 different ways, and then you go and write a couple cold emails and send out your email list. I mean, that right there just helped you make money. You can go onto Twitter and get inspired by this guy who's talking about going and breaking a new deadlift PR, instead of going on Instagram and seeing a hot girl and going, oh my god, like what do I do about this? You know what I mean? If you're going to do that, then go out and talk to 100 girls that day. If you're going to get inspired by just looking at girls. But if you're just scrolling on Instagram and sitting on the couch all day long, that's not benefiting your life in any way. So a monumental shift in my life happened when I stopped following all these time waster, just irrelevant accounts that are posting about stuff that is a distraction from my purpose and from what I'm doing in life. And I follow people that help and they share good information that benefits my purpose and what I'm trying to do in life. It's an absolute game changer. And now contributing to those messages that brings people value, benefits me in terms of growing my business and creating deeper relationships.
Yeah, like 6 to 8 months ago. So I started this podcast in like March. And right before that, I made it a goal to stop consuming so much content and start creating it. And as soon as I started doing that, a lot of things fell into place. And I feel like I've sharpened a lot of skills. And that's kind of what you were just saying. Like, you can scroll through Instagram, whatever, but you have to be creating more than you're consuming. Otherwise, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to be constantly scrolling all day.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm certainly not perfect. I still, fall victim to the doom scroll every once in a while. But I try to be very self-aware of it, conscientious of it, and avoid it, because that just leads to, the anxiety and depression that really plagues our society today. Whereas if you're creating this content, you're producing this content, you're putting it out there, especially if it's positive and motivating, you just it's positive for everybody, so it's it just completely shifts the perspective and ends up bringing a lot of value to your life. It ends up benefiting you so much more than if you go on to Twitter and Instagram, or even worse, TikTok, and all you
Yeah.
do is consume. Like as much as you might enjoy one or two videos here, it's just going to get all lost in your brain. If you just go through 300 videos, you're not going to remember the one or two that really benefited you, or brought you some positive information. It's just going to all lump together, and you go, man, I don't even know what happened the last 2 hours, or just sitting on the couch scrolling. So where you make content, you're going to remember those lessons that you put out there. You're going to really ingrain this stuff. The best way to learn something is by teaching it as well and sharing on your life. You just get so many, you make so many interesting interactions, where the opportunity to now, talk with people and message other people that, like your content, producing content is the way to go. 100%.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, what is your Twitter strategy? Like, do you sit down and kind of craft these tweets? Like, when you just do it when it comes to mind? Like, how did you grow on Twitter? Like, what was your strategy?
A little bit of both. Number one, I highly recommend trying to find some form of coach assistance, information, because I definitely agree that there's a lot of those coaches out there that are shysters, and they don't actually bring all that much value, but there are really, really good
Mhm.
ones out there as well. And so you kind of have to take some risks in order to go where you want to go. If you just go, all right, I'm never going to invest in a course, never going to invest in a coach, because what if they rip me off? All right, well, then you'll just continue getting the results that you get. So, I mean, you can grow on Twitter without having any kind of coach or information. And it's actually not too hard to find it for free, because you got to post consistently. You got to post every single day, preferably a couple times a day. You got to be posting threads, valuable information. You got to be posting, you got to be strategic with your posts as well. Put together an informational document that people are going to be interested in, that people want to find value in. And you go, all right, I put together this awesome document. For me, it's like I put together these, 75 quotes related to the current economy and system of taxation we have today. If you want to, see this kind of esoteric information, retweet and and comment me or whatever under this tweet. You must be following me, and I'll auto DM it to you. And so using some of the technological integrations, Tweet Hunter, shout out JK Molina, that really helps as well, because you can set these things up so that it's automated. So now you're DMing the 300 people that retweeted your tweet, and now you're collecting their email. They're getting some valuable information. You might spark up a conversation from there. So being intentional, and being strategic about packaging information, sharing that information to maximize your engagement, maximize new followers, is really important as well. So, be consistent, know what kind of content your following would benefit from, what kind of value they get out of your content, is huge. For me, obviously, they want strategies on how to save on taxes. They also want to see like esoteric financial strategies and tax strategies, and also examples in real life. What is Trump doing to get his tax bill down to $750? What is Kamala Harris doing? Why did she have to amend her congressional financial disclosures? Explaining interesting content like that, that's valuable to people. That's entertaining. that's informational, that's engaging, why would they do this? That's a good call to action for, engagement. So putting all those elements in there and just staying consistent, be tweeting every single day, be writing at least 2 threads a week. If you're trying to grow, you got to be putting out threads. You got to be putting out, information. And it can be cumbersome sometimes, but if you practice, you'll get really good at it, and you'll be able to sit down on a Saturday for 2 hours and you'll prepare that entire week's content, or maybe even 2 weeks content. I mean, outside of the threads, I can sit down and I can write, 3 weeks worth of just, 1 line, 2 line, couple line tweets in an hour, 2 hours, and I'm good to go. And then the threads could take a little bit more time, but it's going to help you grow so fast with the threads if they're informational and engaging. And so, again, I do recommend hiring some kind of help or paying for some kind of a course or assistance, somebody to help keep you accountable. Maybe they take a look at your threads and they go, oh, well, this way, that way could, make it a little bit more engaging. And here's a tip that very few people talk about. If you pay for a coach to help you grow your social medias, you think they're not going to want to like, retweet, reply to your tweets? I want people to know that anybody can grow on Twitter. You don't have to pay for it. But if you already have an awesome product and an awesome business, you just don't have much of a social media following, and you want to grow faster than, having to just tweet and wait. You go from 0 likes to, all right, the next week I got 1 like, to the next week I got 2 likes. You'll grow eventually, but maybe it'll take a year. If you want to grow faster than that, get a coach. Pay somebody that's going to help show you how to write better, more engaging tweets, that's going to give you good ideas and edit your threads for you. And they might even throw you a retweet in front of their 20,000 person audience, and that's going to just boom, make you grow that much faster. So having people on your side that are interested in seeing you grow and get new clients, they're going to help you grow so much faster. So it's not a must, but I've found that helps a crazy amount. Super, super helpful.
For sure. Yeah, I'm a big proponent in coaching. I have some of my own coaches, and it just, sure, you can go on YouTube, you can Google stuff, you can get bits and pieces of information here and there, but just learning it from someone else just makes it fast tracks everything. It makes it so much faster. And like you said, the accountability part as well. So yeah, I'm a huge proponent in coaching for sure.
Absolutely. Because you can get that information for free, but it might not be specific to your exact situation. And you might not have somebody that's calling you every week and saying, hey, what content are you putting out? Let me take a look at it. All right, that looks good, but maybe you could fix this. All right, put that out. Or I thought of this idea for you. Why don't you implement this idea? Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to absolutely do that. So having coaches, having people to keep you accountable is well worth the money to invest in a course. Well worth it.
Man, you gave us so much good information in this. I really appreciate you coming on. I think as we wrap it up, I definitely want to just touch on tax stuff a little bit more. Maybe like the last question could be like, there's a lot of small business owners right now hurting, or there's people starting their businesses. What's like a general tip for someone who owns a business of how they can save money? I know like everybody's a little bit different, but is there like a general mindset or a general thing that people can follow to help save them money on taxes?
Well, here's what I really want to touch on, because I'm sure a lot of people saw the Inflation Reduction Act where they forgot to include the part where they reduce inflation. But here's what they did do is they decided to double the IRS budget and hire up to 87,000 IRS agents over the next couple of years. So what's that going to do? That's going to unleash brand new auditors onto small business owners that might not have these books that are bolstered or these financial records that are on point perfectly. So my recommendation, especially for new business owners and new coaches, have good records, have good documentation. If you're working with a CPA, make sure they have all that information. It is largely your responsibility, so you should have that information too. But especially if you're preparing your taxes on your own, or you're just, you don't have any people in your corner in terms of finance and financial reporting, make sure you have good reports and documentation. Make sure you're keeping your business account and your personal account separate, right? And so that's you don't have anything to worry about as long as you're not, fudging the numbers on the return and you're keeping good records and documentation. So that's a basic piece of information for people. Don't worry about the fact they're going to be hiring a ton of IRS agents, because if you've kept good documentation, then you have nothing to worry about. Other than that, track all your expenses and make sure you're not missing out on any of the important deductions that you can take that are often missed. That is the home office deduction, where you can write off a portion of your home just for doing work out of it. Obviously consult your tax advisor. I'm going to miss on a good amount of nuance and important details just to quickly go over some of these tips. Home office deduction is an important one. If you're driving, putting on business miles, making sure you're doing the auto deduction. And if you all of a sudden receive a ton of income, you can look at making other business investments in order to reduce that taxable income in the current year. So I have people that are new to solar sales. I was just doing a presentation for solar sales reps this last year, doing an S Corp if they're going to make over 50K a year in net income, to help save on those self-employment taxes. Or, all right, I'm going to make $500,000 this year because, just killed it in commissions. Well, maybe I also want to put some of that net income into a new Amazon business, or I want to buy a car that I can then rent out on Turo. For people new to making a lot of money, get a consultation with a CPA or a tax professional so you can come up with, number one, best practices for tracking your financial information and making sure you're in proper compliance. Again, that's increasingly important with all the new stuff going on with the IRS. And number two, you're going to learn any strategies you can implement to help you save the most in taxes, whether that's something related to your crypto, your real estate, or your business. There's a lot more information we could get into, but I'm sure you could learn a lot from checking out my content. So I'll leave it at that.
That was a great breakdown. Make some noise for that. But yeah, so I want to segue into for sure. Because anyone who's listening to this, if they need any help with their taxes, they'd be stupid not to call you with all the information you just gave out and all the transparency and everything else. So how can people reach out to you? Your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, or your website? Where are places people can reach you?
Yeah, my Instagram and my Twitter are where I'm most active. Both of them are Anthony Price CPA. So you can find me there. I'm on my website, anthonypricecpa.com or pricelesscpa.com. We're actually in the middle of transitioning. Those are the best spots to find me. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Anthony E. Price CPA. So those are the best spots to find me. Find some good information. You can book a free 15-minute intro call on my Calendly as well. There's links on my website, links through my Instagram and Twitter as well. So you can find me there. And if I can give you enough game to where you don't even need me anymore after that 15-minute call, I'm more than happy to do it. That's happened many times where, you have a tax situation or a crypto tax situation. You go, well, there's this one thing I can't figure out. And I go, well, have you thought about this? And they go, oh, all right. And no, I haven't yet. Thank you. That's all I had. All right, man. If you have any needs in the future, just feel free to let me know, because I only work with people that I'm going to bring a lot more value than they will pay me. So feel free to book one of those 15-minute intro calls, and we'll connect.
That's awesome, man. And guys, as always, I'll have all the notes in the description. So I'll have all of Anthony's social media and the website, so you can get that free call and follow him. Anthony, I really appreciate you taking out the time to do this. I don't say this every interview, but this has been one of my favorite interviews just because you're living what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to teach everyone else. And you're proof that it works, because just in a small time, that's the most amazing part of all this, is that you really just started this in 2021. Like literally you said you started in July, right? So literally it's like a year of just being consistent and creating content changed your life. And you're so busy now that you have to hire help. So that's super amazing, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. And I appreciate you coming on.
I certainly will. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity for sharing this stuff. I'm more than happy to tell everybody and encourage everybody about internet entrepreneurship, about creating a personal brand, creating social media content. You don't know exactly what the result will be, but if it's positive information that really brings value and knowledge, it's going to be something good. So recommend everybody, especially if you're trying to build your business in coaching, highly, highly recommend it. Thank you, Zach. I really appreciate the opportunity to come on. It's really fun.
Boom. Awesome. All right, guys. So check back next week, another episode. Also, if you want to start your own podcast, check out my free guide. Go to coachesandcontent.com. Otherwise, we'll see you next week with another great guest.
Check it out.